I think now is a good time to show you something. It's not entirely going to work because the rigs are just too different, but I want to show you how you can swap out the rig here. Now this is just preview, but if I'm going to use my schoolgirl here and then right click here and refresh and change the skeleton to my schoolgirl and compile maybe. I think I didn't have everything selected. Let's right click this again, select mesh schoolgirl. Ah yeah, there we go. Had to do it in a free compile. Now, some things are not going to work for that. The rig is just too different. For example, I know the feet are going to completely break because they're just too different. But let's say you have, but I know my humanoid characters are always the same. So the schoolgirl is basically, and another character is always going to be the same ground base. Yeah, you can see that the arm here is automatically working. Yeah, and the rotation here, if I scale this down, is not entirely working right away. This is because they have just simply different axes. But if you always create your rig the same way, they will always work the same. Here you can see this is a little bit off. When I'm going to create a rig for a humanoid, I'm going to make sure every position is calculated automatically, maybe with some variables I can adjust. And then I can always reuse this rig for humanoid characters. Just want to show you this. I'm going to reopen my file now because of the bones, and I'll go back. I could in theory. In theory, I could go back here and select my mesh again and hit compile. And in theory it should work, but the stupid bones are going to break. They work solidly once they are in, but if you change something about them, they just break. This is why I'm going to completely close my file now. So now next I want to get some controls for the spine up to the head. Let's open our purple thing here, the skeleton mesh. And let's take a look at which bones I want. So I want the root, pelvis, spine, not the pelvis, the neck and the head. Those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 I want here. So let's fold this in here as well. I'm going to create a new space like we always do. Now I already have the pelvis, so we only need 7. I'm going to Ctrl Z, Ctrl V this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to name all of those. The first one to root, the next one, since we already have the pelvis now, there's this spine underscore 01. Then we can copy this here, paste this in, make a 2 out of that, and 2, spine 3, neck underscore 01, the head. So save it. And now we can just select the root, Ctrl N, this is the short key to create a control. And we can just also name this root, Ctrl N, spine underscore 01, Ctrl N, spine underscore 02, Control N, spine underscore 03, Control N, neck underscore 01, and Control N, head. So, and we have all the controls we need. Now, we want to set this up. There is a way of arraying that so you don't have that many nodes, but honestly for me it was just breaking all the time, so we're going to do it manually. I'm going to disconnect this, all left click here. We already have set up the pelvis. We're just going to start with a root here now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy those nodes here, paste them in here. And all I have to do here is we can select all of those, right click, and there is a search and replace. And all we have to do is old name, pelvis, and new name, root. And now we can just hit OK. And well, it seems like the big ones, we have a capital in there for some. So we have to do this again. Big pelvis, maybe it's better for the other one. And small pelvis. So, and there we go. It doesn't matter, just change it to the root here. Whatever you want to do it. So point is we have everywhere a root in here now. And now we can connect this here, save first of all. And hit compile. And we can see everything is moving because we're controlling everything with it. So next we have the pelvis. The pelvis is already set up. I'm going to disconnect this for a second here because I want to focus on those controls here. We just have to set up the other ones as well. We're going to copy this here again, paste this in. Actually, before we plug it in, I'm going to change it. So now I'm just going to switch those pelvises here to the next one, which is after this, the pelvis goes the spine one. So just right click, replace a mirror, and we're just going to type in old pelvis, new spine underscore 01. Okay. One change, right click, search, replace, and I go big pelvis and paste this in again, and the other one changes as well. Point is just that you have spine 01 now everywhere here. Now we can connect this. And if we now select our spine 1 control, we can see it's moving, right? And we basically have to do this just for all of them. So I'm just going to, well, it's already copied, build my way over here, I'm guessing. So actually it's a good idea to copy this now. Yeah, because now we can just right click this, replace, and we can just type in spine underscore 01. And here we can just spine underscore 02, and it should automatically flip all of them. Did very nice. Now, next one, we just copy this here again, or right click it, replace spine_02, spine_03. Connect this, paste it in. Then we want to replace it. What do we want to replace it? First of all, spine_01 old name, and new name is going to be the neck_01. And everything is the neck. Now we can plug this in here. And there we go. Also the neck is now set up. All right, last thing is the head. So here we go, last one, right click it, replace neck_01 with just simply head. Okay, and we plug this in here, hit compile, and we now have everything we need here. Now maybe the neck is a bit open. No, maybe the neck is not over. Okay, it's just fine. Technically it's working. I'm just going to hit compile here. And I'm going to, let's see, how do we connect this? I'm going to put my reroute over here, go over here as well. So, and I'll just see if everything still works. Compile, and let's see, we can take the root now, everything moves with it, nice and dandy. There's a sanity check we have to do, sometimes at least. If we go to our viewport here, and we just simply take the control rig, drag it in, I'm going to cover this properly later, yeah? Just so we see it works. We go to the sequence up here and we click on this plus here, animation, and we just put in animation. If we now scrub through it, all those bones, all those controls should move with the according bone. So this is working. The root will stay there, but this should just work, and it seems like it does. This is very nice. Let's delete this. All right, because it's working. Save it. And we got this. Now, only thing we need to do is change the controls because they are displayed a little bit dumb here, right? Change the controls. So let's start with that one. Circle thick. This is actually the pelvis. Never mind. I wanted to start with the root. Circle thick. 0.1, 0.1, and we stay with the one there. 0.1 is maybe a little bit too small. We just have to figure this out. We also want to rotate 90 degrees around the Y. Make this a bit bigger. In this case, I guess up 0.5 maybe. 0.5 and a 1. And then we go to the next one, the spine 2, circle thick. I remember there was a way of like doing all at once, but for some reason it doesn't work for me. So I don't know, you can try to select all of them. 0.5 is a little bit too much. 0.2, 0.2, rotate 90 degrees. It should work. All right, we should probably rename this really quickly here. We have to root over here. I'm going a little bit out so I can just rename this here. Root pelvis spine_01, spine_02, spine_03, neck_01, head. All right, with that we have the basic controls for the spine as well, for the whole thing here. All right, pretty nice. So there's another thing I want to do here. We can now rotate this nicely and stuff, right? We have a lot of control here, but maybe sometimes we want like an overall control. And for that, we can just simply use the distribute rotation we also used for the fingers, right? If we scale this down here, it's going to distribute it to the fingers. We'll just do it in a simpler case. We're literally going to copy the rotation. So for that, we just need to simply get the distribute rotation. Disconnect this here. I'm going to disconnect this here as well for now. What do we want? We also need a control which we can rotate. So we just, you know what? Yeah, let's just get a simple control for now. And we call this distribute rotation. Let's grab it out and we get it. And what do we want to do here? Now we want to rotate certain bones based on this bone here, right? So we first of all have to get them out. We're going to directly rotate the bones. So let's unfold this and let's take a look. We just want the spines here for now, right? So let's just select them, get them out. Break collection or whatever. Connect this here and connect this here. Now we have a different problem. If we now rotate this here, it's first of all looking like it's working, but if we rotate it out, we can see the controls are not following. Why is that? That is because we set the controls to follow the bones and then we rotate it out. Simple thing is, we just need to change the order. We need to rotate it first and then make the bones follow, the controls follow. So move this in here, compile. And now if we rotate this, now it's still the wrong axis, I know, don't worry. But you can see the controls stay where they should be and we can keep even rotating it if we wanted to. Now we only have to like change the axis a little bit here, and I kind of want to already change the look of this rotation here. Why is it called fist? Okay, yeah, because I didn't connect the other stuff. Distribute rotation down here. I want to change this to a hexagon. Hexagon thick. Let's make it like 0.7 or something. 0.75 and 0.75. Now, don't worry about the position. We can still set the position a bit. So while this is kind of working now, right? We can rotate this stuff around and stuff, but The problem is that we didn't set the position, we just dropped up a control on there. So if it's like animating and stuff, it's just, the control is where it spawns and it never leaves. But we want to kind of set it and have it nicely follow, right? So for that we need a space like always, create a new space. I'm just going to copy the name distribut rotation here, paste it in, enter, and I'm going to drop the control onto the space. And now everything should still work as before, right? It should just rotate, maybe in the wrong direction, doesn't matter. The problem with that is, the reason it does that is because if we take a look here at the axis, here Y is forward, X is to the side, Z is somewhere up. If we take a look at the bone, we are going to rotate. So like the spine, Y is kind of to the side, X is along, so they are different, right? So meaning when this one here rotates around X, it means a different X for the bone. We could easily swap the axis, but far easier is to just set the control to the orientation of the bone. So we wouldn't need to do this anyway, just as we always do. We just grab the distribut rotation and we want to set the transform of the space here. Let's just plug this in here. So where do we want to set it? We want to set it to the pelvis, I think. Let's just use the pelvis. Pelvis is pretty good for that. Get the pelvis and we can plug this in. Now you can see things are breaking. The reason for that is because we're using the global transformation over here. So basically the global rotation, the global change from its default. But we only want to rotate it when it's like locally rotated. For that we can just change this to local and you can see it works. And it will even have now the right axis here. Now the control is a little bit off, so we just need to go down here to the distribut rotation controller and maybe rotate it 90 degrees around Y. There we go. Maybe make it a little bit smaller. Let's use a 0.5 here or something. And with that, we have also set up a distribut rotation. We can see it's distributing the rotation along the spine, meaning it will like fold in kind of. And we can also change the ratio here. So I think 15 or something should get quite strong. Yeah, let's just put a 25 in here. It should be stronger. No, 50. Yeah, I don't get this value. Apparently, maybe it's broken. What is maybe just a 0 and a 1? No, it doesn't seem to change anything. It's supposedly acting as how much there should be a rotation. The only thing I can really see a difference in is the ease in and the ease out. Not even there. Don't quite get it, honestly. I remember this working, but apparently it doesn't. So I guess I kind of have to live with that for now. And we have additional control that helps us rotate a little bit. And if we want to rotate a little bit out, we can always just grab another one here and rotate, counter this out a little bit. I don't know. I thought it would just be a handy additional control. Let's name this here C, and we call this spine distribut. So let's connect our whole thing. I just want to make up sometimes sure it's not going absolutely nuts, but everything seems to just work fine. And sometimes I'm going out here and just drag the control rig in there, drop in animation here, just to see if everything is working as intended. So there we go. Now this is supposedly the root. The root should not change, but the rest is just following very, very nicely. And we can delete it out again. I would keep it in there, but as janky as it is, I don't trust that. So I just rather manually drop it in so it can refresh properly.